Good morning, everyone. I hope you are having a great day. For me, this morning has been, I would say, a morning of just, I guess, near misses. Because I woke up late, and Jordan's alarm didn't go off, so I had to drive him to school. Well, backing out of the driveway, my coffee spilled in my car all over the place. Well, it wasn't even all over the place. It was just it spilled backwards into the cup holder. So it spilled, but it was contained in a nice way. But he made it to school, and then I came home and Russ and Corey were still sleeping. So then she was late to school. And then I was trying to get ready and stepping on dog bones that that Hans had left all over the place. And it was just one of those mornings where things didn't quite work out the way that they were supposed to. I'm joining late on here because they just didn't work out the way they were supposed to, but they worked out fine anyway. And that's just how my day's going. So I hope your day is going better than that. I did want to pop on and talk a little bit. We've been doing this series, in worship called The Struggle is Real. Because the struggle of communicating and, living in community, whether that is the community of the church or it's the community of your family or the community you live in or wherever, living in community is challenging. No matter what, no matter how much you love the people and how well you get along, it can just be challenging because we're all different. And so we've been going through this series and talking about how Jesus calls us to live in community and communicate well in a healthy way. And that's found in Matthew 18. And so we've been talking about that the past 3 weeks, and then we'll finish up this coming Sunday with that series. And last week we touched on and we talked about how to talk it out with someone and going to the person, and then if they're and being honest, because we can't read minds, right? Nobody can read minds. And then if that doesn't work, bring someone else along, not as a kind of a buddy who is going to back you up, but as someone who's going to come and be that person who is just holding both of you accountable. And so I did want to talk a little bit about listening and having a conversation with someone. And this is stuff that I have learned through doing premarital counseling. I touch on conflict management and communication with just about every single one of my my couples before officiating at their wedding, because this is real about living life with someone. You have to learn to communicate well. And we talk about how the other person, no matter who they are, they cannot read minds. And so you have to say things, and you have to assert and say, this is what I need, and say that. And one of the things in clearly communicating is using I statements rather than you statements. So especially in the heat of a moment, we can go into a conversation and we can go to somebody and say, you hurt my feelings. You did this. And that made me mad, or something like that. But those you statements of you did this and you made me mad, that immediately puts that other person, or can put that other person, on the defense. Because we don't like hearing that, right? We can go to that same person, we can say the same thing, but say, my feelings are hurt. I was hurt when this happened, I feel like this is something that hurt my feelings. I feel like when this happened, it made me feel this, or it made me feel you didn't care about me. when using an example of, bless Russ, but if I ask him to do something and then he says, okay, I'll do that when I get home. When he gets home from a long day of work, usually it's like 10 o'clock at night. Most of the time he doesn't remember it. I've come to accept this, realize this. And because it's understandable, but sometimes it's not, you didn't unload the dishwasher, whatever. And it's, Russ, it hurt my feelings. I feel like I can't trust you to do what you're going to say to do when you don't unload the dishwasher, when you don't do what you say you're going to do. It comes from a place of vulnerability rather than attack. And just using those different statements, those I statements rather than those you statements, it makes a big difference. I mean, I know we have noticed it in our relationship, mine and Russ's. I've noticed it in other relationships. And the couples say that I talk with in premarital have said that it changes the way that they relate to one another, because it comes from this place of honesty and vulnerability, this place of, this is how I am feeling. And then you can start that conversation. And there is another technique of listening, and that active listening. And really, it's just listening to the person and not waiting for them to be done so that you can respond, right? Because in the heat of the moment, you just like, whatever, I want to say this. But it is listening to them and saying, okay, this is what I hear you saying. I hear you saying that it hurts your feelings when I don't unload the dishwasher because you feel like you can't trust me. And you just kind of recap what they say. And then the other person has like, yes, that's what I meant. That's what I said. And that's what I meant. And then, or if it's not really what they intended, then they can clarify. And so that active listening of going back and forth, and each person has opportunities to speak. It's not just one person dominating, but having that back and forth and taking turns and being vulnerable, coming from that place of compassion and humility that we talked about in the series, it really makes a difference. So I wanted to share those two techniques with you. Hi, Matt. Because there's so much stuff that goes into communication that we can't fit it all into, or I can't fit it all into like a 10 or 15 minute sermon. We'd be there forever. And so I wanted to share those little tidbits because there are a couple of the ones that I think really help with communicating well with people that you're disagreeing with or just having a hard time with. We are going to wrap it up, the series, this coming Sunday. If you've missed any of the series, we have them on podcasts. So you can go to, I think it's called, you can search for Brecksville UMC in any of the podcast apps. And I think it's called Because Jesus, because that's why we do the things, is because Jesus. And I was saying that for quite a bit at one point, and Melanie just named the podcast that. So you can search that podcast and you can listen to it. You can go on YouTube or the Facebooks or wherever, our website, and you can find and listen to the sermon and the scripture. And the podcast is the scripture, sermon, and then like the last half, the prayer and the song, last half of the 10:30 service. And then you can join us on Sunday, and we're going to talk about forgiveness and how the last step is forgiving, and then forgiving again and again and again and again and again and again forever. That's it. Just like God forgives us, and living that out. This series, it's not easy, but it can be transformational. And it's a challenge that Jesus calls each of us to live in community well, out of love and compassion, forgiveness, all of the things that God shows us, living those things out with other people. That's how we change the world. It's that easy and it's that hard. I hope you have a great weekend. Enjoy this fall weather. This weekend, we're having our last 8:30 service out on the lawn. So if you want to join us for that in person, it's supposed to be a beautiful Sunday, like high of 78 or something. So join us outside on the lawn, or we live stream that, and it's a beautiful service too. So Matt says forgiveness is definitely transformative. It really, really is. It's hard, but it's good. And all the best stuff is hard. Hi, Betty. I hope you have a great weekend. I will see you all very soon. Bye.